Welcome to the Grief Bully podcast. I am your host, Nicole. Thank you for joining our weekly discussion around grief, mental health, and your overall personal wellness. The Grief Bully podcast will serve as a vehicle to help you navigate life's journey. Be sure to subscribe, review, and share the podcast with anyone in your life that you think it will help. Let's bully grief together. What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of Grief Bully Podcast. I am your host, Nicole. Guys, we're back in the building, rocking and rolling for another episode, and I want to tell you something really, really important. I am happy, thrilled that you and I do not look like what we've been through. Woo! I am so happy, so thankful that we do not look like what we've been through. And why am I talking about this? Well, I'm going to explain that. So I had a lunch today with a customer of mine, and we're talking, and we just start getting into some things that he's been through in his life. You know, he's going to be, I think, about like 64 or going to be 65. I'm sorry. And so we're talking, and he's telling me all these things, like how his father ended up having dementia, and that just progressed really quickly. He lost that parent, and then not too long after that, he lost his mom. Then we kind of backtracked to when he lost his brother when they were only 29 and 30 years old. We're going through this whole conversation. So it was cool because, again, it was just someone opening up about their experiences, telling me about the journey, and going through that. We're walking to our cars in a parking lot, and he's like, man, it just hit me like I didn't realize how much I've actually gone through. You don't realize that until a lot of times you're out of it. And then I was saying to him, well, hey, I actually, right before I came here, there was a plane in the sky, a small airplane, and I looked up, and then I was like, wow, it made me think about my friend who passed away about 11 years ago. And in my car, I said to myself aloud, wow, I can't believe that she actually died. And it's just unbelievable to me that it was like still just so shocking. But we'll get to that in a minute. What I wanted to really stay focused on here, and I wanted to share it. And I said to him, I said, hey, I actually have to go and record, and I get to go and record an episode of my podcast today. And I was wondering what I really wanted to talk about, because I try my hardest to bring conversations that are real, things that we actually all are going through, have gone through, perhaps will go through, or know someone else that has. So I said, you know what? As simple as that might seem to someone, I really want to have the opportunity to talk about and just unpack a little bit about how we do not, in most cases, look like what we've been through. But then does that also, I guess, take the focus off or diminish the magnitude of what we have experienced in our lives? So some people obviously are more resilient than others. Some people can go through the same thing and it will impact them in different ways. The thing that I thought was really important in this story was that he's almost 65, and we're reflecting back to things that were almost 30 years ago. And it also was just a domino effect. So it's like one thing after another. And I know somebody out there can relate to that, where you've gone through those seasons in your life, you've experienced those trials that were almost going to take you out of here one way or another, whether that was literally or figuratively. And then once you get through that season, you're on the other side of things, and then you're like, wow, I forgot that I went through that. And I think it's Oprah, and I stand corrected if it's not true, but there's a book that's The Body Keeps Score. And I was thinking about that, and I'm like, well, good thing it's not externally, right? Of course, we can go through certain stresses and pains and factors in our lives that can play a toll on us physically, but generally we don't necessarily look like it unless there was an illness or an addiction or something that may have come from the experiences that you actually went through in life. So I started thinking about that from my standpoint, and again, from considering where you are as well. Resilience, which by definition means the ability to cope, can to some extent be a weakness. It could be something that's not necessarily positive, because if we just keep going. Remember, we live in a society that's like push through. And I'm saying that we should get more of the push pause and have that self-reflection, but we just are by nature, how fast our world moves, things change, things are pulling on us, so many demands that we go through all of these things. And yeah, we're still standing. But what was the true impact? At some point, some of those wounds have had to play some sort of role in where you're at right now. And so although we cannot see it physically, I'm wondering if we dive a little bit deeper, and we may not see it at the natural eye, but is it really present there in our characteristics and how we're moving through life, how we're seeing things, how our perspective on life gets skewed by what we've gone through. So maybe you were a person who had tons of faith, just a super optimistic person, truly positive, always going to find the brighter side. You go through a tremendous loss in your life. Now you don't have any faith. Your faith is very low. You're actually questioning your faith if there's even a God. Is this even something? Why am I even thinking about this when I prayed to a God that didn't answer my prayer and my loved one still died? Whew, that hit a chord personally. So again, some people lose their faith because they've gone through some things and they're praying and that prayer wasn't answered how they would have wanted it to be. Because I know for sure I was posting, calling prayer warriors left and right to pray for my people to make it on the other side. And they definitely just died. Right. So anyway, what I'm saying about this, though, is that we go through these things and then our perspectives shift. So that's kind of, you may not look physically like what we've gone through, which I'm thankful for, because I would look tore up. But I think it's still there. I think the soot, the aftermath, the dust of our experiences, and I don't know that we give ourselves enough grace or that we extend that enough when people go through things that we can't see. There's always a part of my prayers that I try to say, and I try to say, I pray for the battles that we can't see. I pray for the things that people are going through that they don't have the ability to put words to and share. And that's what I'm saying. It's everyone doesn't look like what they're facing. Like, you don't know what's going on at home. And this something right here might really put some things in perspective for you. I don't know if I was watching it or I saw it online, I think probably. And it said, raise your child to be kind. Raise your child to be nice. Raise your child to be a good friend at school, because not every child is going home to love. And that just really shook me to my core a little bit, that is the reality, is that a lot of young people, a lot of children, teenagers are going home to environments and circumstances that they cannot change, that are not great for them. And you don't know that. You have no idea what someone's really, truly dealing with. And so many of these things that we say like that, like, oh, you don't know what they're going through, or you have no idea. It becomes so cliche, but what do we really believe about it? Like, what do we really take that into consideration when someone is telling you what they're going through, or someone's behaviors might be reflective that something else is going on? And I don't even want to leave it at just children, right? I think in general, because we can't see what everybody's going through and we don't know, then maybe we can take an extra step, right? Or even just a pause when reacting and responding to people that you might consider challenging or difficult personality, or even perhaps nasty, not of good character. If we can just be more a part of that positive equation to help make this melting pot that we're in a little bit better. So like, if I'm more kind to my coworker and I'm more understanding, listening, and just really zoning in on that, then perhaps that person could be in an abusive relationship. They could be going home to an empty refrigerator. They could be, I have no idea. But because I have no idea, I should move like my actions and my behaviors could perhaps help this person on their journey. Just yesterday, I'm eating lunch by myself, just grabbed something quick to eat, and I am trying to eat a little healthy. So it was tough to get the brown rice. I was really wanting to get the white rice at that Thai restaurant that I ate at yesterday. So I'm in the restaurant eating by myself, just trying to hurry up. I had a doctor's appointment, so I didn't have much time. I'm eating my food, and I can overhear there's a table just to the far left of me. I'm using my right hand though, to the far left of me. And it was like a little concoction, right? There was a few different people at this table that I couldn't piece together. How did this group come together? There's younger, there's older, there's just different ethnicities, and they're all just here and they're just talking. I can't fully hear their conversation, but I'm just like, okay, cool. So we're walking out and we're leaving, and the one guy, him and I kind of crossed paths because he had to use the bathroom. So we were leaving at the same time, and the other crew had already left out of the restaurant. So I said, you guys were just a mixed bunch there, a mixed bag. I couldn't really put my finger on it. I was like, did you guys all know each other? That's me, right? I'm inquisitive, and I'm going to ask questions. I'll talk to a wall if it would talk back. So I asked him this, and he goes, oh, actually, we all are in recovery, and we just went to a meeting, and then we decided to grab food. And I said to him, I was like, oh, wow, like I would have never guessed. I just kind of knew that, maybe you guys didn't. I knew that you didn't know each other based on the questions that I could hear. It seemed like they were getting to know each other. So him and I were chatting, and I said, wow. I said, that's awesome that you guys did that. I said, just so you know, I actually I am sober, and I've been in sobriety and been living a sober life for almost 16 years. He's like, oh, wow, really? And I'm like, yeah. I said, listen, easy does it, man. One day at a time. Like I just started running off all these things. And the reason why he came to mind in our conversation is because before we parted ways, I said, listen, if you don't do anything else today, like not one other thing today, if you do not, be proud of yourself. There was so many other things that you could be doing right now, but you chose to not only go to a meeting, but to take it a step further and actually find fellowship amongst this group. So no matter what else happens, right? Like you may have wanted to accomplish something else, or you may found yourself down because maybe you're not as far along in your sobriety journey as you would like to be. Now, I didn't say all these things to him, but this is what I'm saying now. But just give yourself credit about what you've already gone through, what you've already faced, the challenges that you've overcome, even the fact that you made it to a meeting. Sometimes it's just that simple when it comes to being able to give yourself the credit that you need to be able to put your chest out and put your shoulders back and say, hey, I'm fighting this journey. I've been through a lot. If you're watching this, then you're tuned in, you're tapped in with me. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, I've been through a lot and I'm still standing. And that is awesome. I didn't give up. There's so many things that we're faced with, so many things that get thrown our way that are out of our control. So when we make a decision and we take control, even if it's one small step towards our healing, to advance ourselves, to overcome, because even if we're not doing it for ourselves, perhaps we're doing it for the next generation. Maybe you feel like it's too late for you. Some people are like that. I do not believe that everyone wants to heal. I think there's too much comfort in the unhealing. There's most certainly in a lot of scenarios too much comfort in the brokenness. Too much. It's too scary. It would take too much effort. It's so much fear on the other side of exploring what your life could look like if it wasn't this. So really, again, I don't want to be long-winded here. I just want to get this gem to you that you may not look like what you've been through, but give yourself the credit and respect to know that you've been through a lot. I'm going to say it for myself because that's why I said that about resiliency, because I actually was going to get a tattoo that said resilience. Thank goodness I didn't do that at that phase in my life, but I fell in love with the word. It actually became like a cape to say, like, I know I get through things. I get through tough things, which is cool. And I want to continue to get through things. I don't want things to just take me down, but I want to give myself the credit to say, hey, you have been through a lot. You are a little banged up. That's okay. But keep going, learn from it. And then this is the cool thing. You take your experience and you go give that to someone else. You go share that to someone else. But you got here by a lot of choices. And it's not even this. And this is the thing. This will take us into a whole another conversation, but it's not even so much that we don't look like what we've gone through. We don't look like what we're going through right now, present day, this mind, what goes on in our mind, and just the obstacles that present themselves, to be able to stay on the positive side of things, to stay focused and driven and keep everything ahead of you when everything is just being thrown at you. Like, that is real. That's real. But we're so used to it that an alternative perspective is like, no, this is just my life. This is just what it is. I go through tough things. Tough things happen, and we all do. But give space. Give space for you to acknowledge that. I don't think it's excuses. And I think I have a hard time with that, where if I talk about an obstacle or something that I'm facing, immediately it feels like an excuse. It feels like I should be able to overcome this. I have this. I've been able to do this. This is okay. But I still have this. But okay. But what you're going through is real. And it is taxing on us. And it can be difficult to navigate that. So as we get out of here, I want you to consider all of those things. I want you to respect the fact that you don't know what people are going through. So it's better for us to just err on the side of caution and just move a little more gentle. And if you're a parent of a young person, focus that energy too on allowing them to move with kindness as well, and become less judgmental and impatient with people, and be more understanding and open to consider other possibilities of where somebody can be. We're going to keep getting together, keep collectively coming together to fight. And listen, I love your comments. Thank you so much for sharing your comments, for letting me know your perspective. Just knowing that this is helping people, it really means a lot. So drop those comments. Let us know what you're thinking. Again, we're trying to have these conversations to help our community move forward. We're dealing with life. Life is life, but we going to keep fighting, keep going. If you're not already follow me over Instagram, like, what the heck are you doing? Go follow me over there at I_am_J Nicole, guys. So next time, you already know, love and light. Peace.